Hello and welcome to the Wise Yourself Up podcast. I am your host, Carla McGreevy, and today I'm joined by the very wonderful Emma Neill, and we are discussing everything love.
It's so good to see you. It feels like ages.
I know you too. How was the rest of your time in Belfast?
Yeah, it was good. It was just busy work, and I had the course begin on Tuesday, so it was just flat out. So I'm going to go home for a week here at the end of the month.
How are you?
Yeah, because I barely got to see anybody or catch up and
Yeah.
all that crack. So I'm going to have more time this time.
Oh, that's nice.
How was skiing?
Yeah, skiing was amazing. It was so fun. It's such an intense trip. Like you're skiing all day and then you're out all night, and at the end of it, you're just like, oh my god, my body is in bits.
Do you stay out late? So I only went skiing once with my dad when I was 24.
Uh-huh.
And me and him were in bed for like 9 o'clock and then up at 6 or something. He had me
Oh,
up.
where is?
Yeah.
No, we were like an early night was like 12. But to be fair, we went starting early. Like I wasn't on the soaps probably until about 10. So it is like chill in that way. There were some days I didn't get out until like the afternoon and stuff, if it was like a particularly late night. But yeah, it's such a fun holiday. Like I don't know, there's times where you're skiing around, you're like, whoa, this is just so, like, how is this real?
Yeah, it looks stunning.
Yeah, it's so gorgeous.
How many years have you been going for?
I've probably been like 6 times in my life, but all kind of spread out. Like it's not like back to back years. I did go last year.
Yeah, that's why I was
Yeah.
thinking that you go every year in my head.
No, I wish.
And you go with your mum and dad and friends and family. It looked like you have friends there too, because I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it was kind of like family and family friends and like people's partners and stuff. Like it was quite a big group of us. I think at like every dinner there was like 16 of us or something.
Oh, wow, that is intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like fun to have all the different dynamics, and everyone brings their partners. And then there was like one of their cousins and he brought two of his friends from London. So it was just like so much going on. But like you could, if as long as you were sitting beside different people every night, it was just like a different night. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's really nice. I went on a retreat recently and it's just nice to have big dinners. I feel like you have this big extended family sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And everyone's like, same again next year.
That's so good. And will you do it again next year?
I don't know. Maybe, fingers crossed. It's a really fun holiday. I would love to do it every year, but it obviously relies on other people being able to like get the time off, and some people are teachers and stuff like that. So like it needs to like align well with everyone.
I would love to do a surf holiday. That's my next best.
So would I, Carla. I would love to.
Yeah, let's go surfing.
Yeah. Do you know what I was really trying to plan recently? And I think I'm going to try and do it. And if I can get surfing in there, I will. But I don't actually know if it'll be feasible. But I would love to do a trip where I do a week of Muay Thai training in Thailand, and then half a week yoga retreat, half a week scuba diving, and then a bit of surfing in there as well.
Amazing. Have you done Muay Thai?
No, never.
Yeah, so my big cousin, he's my wee cousin, but he's like the same age as you. I think Miles 27 this year. So he takes me for Muay Thai 1 to 1 week. We should go, and I think
Would you do one-to-ones with him?
yeah. And he's such a good way with him, and he's brilliant with kids. He's a great coach, so he is. And all we do is laugh because he's like he throws out a combo, and I just make up my own. And he's like, "Carla." I just freestyling it out. It's like a good brain, like getting your brain and your body to connect because you have to take cues, similar to yoga in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
I've never done any kind of form of like martial arts or any kind of fighting. I don't know. I think I'd be absolutely useless at it, but I just want to try it for a week.
No, I think you've surprised yourself. I think everybody has that fire in them, or everybody enjoys the feeling of hitting something. There's just something very therapeutic.
I know there's got to be some sort of like release there, and just I feel like the feeling would be amazing after a day doing that.
Yeah, but like when I learned boxing years ago, because I signed up for a white collar, I didn't offer myself. My friend asked me to.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you do it?
Because my friend, God love him, his two brothers died of suicide within a year, like 6 months apart. And
Oh my
he's a
god.
big boxing family. His daddy got a gold medal in the Olympics, big boxers. And he organised a fundraiser through white collar boxing, and he was like, "Carla, will you fight in it?" I was like, "I hate your guts, you absolute bastard." And that's what taught me that I needed to go to therapy, because see, when I went, I was like nearly in tears because I was so shit at it. I went to Fight Academy and I was like in
Uh,
boxing class and I was so awful at it. And then my friend Ryan really put me in my place. He was like, Carla, you really need to get over yourself. All these lads have been training like for 10 years. It's going to take you more than a few weeks to get it. And I was like, actually, you're right. Like, I just wasn't being humble. And, you know,
yeah. It is really hard though, I think, at this age to like join something new, and especially when you're surrounded by people that are good at it. Like you are automatically just gonna be like, why would I do this? Or like, I don't want to be here.
but I think it's a secret to keeping young energy, you know, throughout your life.
Yeah,
Is
is
those.
trying new things. I know. Like I'm always trying to convince my dad to take up either like yoga or some sort of mobility thing, like calisthenics or something, because I just like obviously I would hate for him to get to an age where he's like immobile, and my mum is so fit and so healthy and she's a yoga instructor and he can like barely lift his hands, like, you know, past his head type of thing. And I would just love for him to want to do that, but then like me always telling him makes him be like, no, I'm not doing it. And I just know he's in the mindset of like he would go and be like, I'm worse than everyone else here and I'm so bad at this. And he would almost be like making a joke out of it, like looking around at people laughing and stuff. You know what I mean?
Do you know my aunt actually teaches yoga and it's just up in Lenadown. I don't know, she might do it in other places now, but it's all older men in terms like my uncles and the tradesman electrician. And what age is my Uncle Jim? Like 50, but it's all lads around maybe in their 50s, late 40s or around that. And they're all tradesmen. Never in a million years you think they'd be into yoga and they all love it. So
Mhm.
Chrissy has like an
Oh
old.
my God, yeah. I think he would need something more like male dominated like that, probably.
And the same sort of mindset as him, you know, like they're like, oh, it's like more like masculine type of men, you know, who's it's difficult for them to do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is with men. It's so hard to get them to take care of themselves.
Yeah, or like I guess it is that kind of getting in that those more feminine spaces as well. Like some people are really scared of it. It's funny because like my boyfriend will so happily come to a yoga or Pilates class knowing that he will literally be the only man in the class. But like my dad could think of absolutely nothing worse.
Yeah,
So I don't know. So, but sometimes it is those like female spaces that you like it's not always good to be in that masculine and always have like that intense training and weights and boxing and stuff. Like you need to kind of balance it out as well.
yeah, definitely. And I think that's a real testament to Thomas too. Like to have that confidence. I think that's so nice.
Fuck yeah, it is.
Yeah, that people don't have.
Yeah, I know. Like loads of people are like, God, I could never get my boyfriend to do that.
Yeah, actually, I went out with a guy, and our second date was a yoga class. It was like Eleanor.
Really?
Yeah. In
That's really nice.
Yeah, so that's definitely like something that I would like to do with a partner. Like they don't have to be yogi heads, but they'd be
No.
to go with me.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't want you come. I'm not the type of person like wants my boyfriend to do every single hobby with me. Like I think it's nice to keep some things for yourself, but I would like them to be open to coming to like the odd thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I seen you and Olivia recorded a podcast on love. I can't wait to listen to it. I just seen it up.
It wasn't really on love. I don't know what specifically on love you want to talk about today, but it was more on Valentine's Day and
Oh,
expectations and kind of our own stories of Valentine's Days and then reading out other people's like horror stories and their expectations and that type of thing.
oh, I can't wait to listen. That'll ease my anxiety today. I went to Fabric on Saturday night for my very first time.
Oh my God, how was it?
It was. Have you been?
No.
Would you go?
I would, but I just can't see when that would happen.
So I lived in London like 10 years ago and like everybody was going like every weekend. Like my boyfriend at the time was always there and I never went. I never had any interest. So then I was like, oh, I should go. And my cousin too passed away in December. We had always talked about going and we never got to go. So I was always like, right, I have to go. And it was a friend's birthday. So we went but we got there about one and the queue was insane. But thank God we had like guest list or whatever. So we didn't have to be like the queue. I wouldn't have stood in it. Like absolutely not. I was
No, I can't do long queues for anything.
at 1 o'clock in the morning. No, absolutely not.
No.
So you go in and it is like a big dark dungeon And I would definitely have got lost had I not been with friends who knew the club. But the main room was a wee bit weird. It was like, obviously I've never been before, but they said it was a very unfabric crowd this night. It was very young, a wee bit rough. You know, like there was like a girl and exiting a door and a girl walking in, and she was like, "Watch where you're walking." And I was like, "Oh," you know, and you're just like, "Oh, no." And it's the first time I've sort of seen that energy out in London. I haven't really met that before. Um, but then in the main room, they played Holy by Sam Smith, which is so weird. Like, how on fabric is that?
That's not what I imagined for fabric.
No, so I would love to go when it's a better lineup or something, or if like Danny or something's playing or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. But are you feeling it today?
I'm actually, it's only that I have you signed up. It's given me a step in my, you know, like when you're excited to do something, or else I probably be still sleeping. I left about 5. Like all my friends are hardcore, and I was like, by 5 o'clock, I was like, this is enough.
That's late for you.
It is really late for me. It's way because they're all like, Tinkerbell, you better stay out and all. I'm always like, Desires just disappears. Who did they call me? Just, and I think the night we went to a bar for cocktails, went to my friend's brother's house, who he has a sex shop. Like he makes his, so he had like mad stuff in his house, so that kept us entertained for a few hours. These dildos that you couldn't even imagine fathomable. I swear, Emma. And it was like it was a whole new world. So that kept us entertained for a few hours, and then we went to fabric. So when your night split up with that, I think that you can last longer. Well, I can.
Yeah. Whereas if you just arrive somewhere at 9 o'clock and we're expected to stay till 5, you're like, it's not happening.
You know, like people who do 12-hour shifts like in fabric, I just wouldn't be able.
I know, crazy. It's funny you're saying about all the crazy dildos. Like not that long ago, I was just in Ann Summers and I was like seeing all these like mad like glitter dildos and stuff, and I was like, I feel like it would be really iconic to make like a dildo display in my house, like of all those like dildos stuck on the wall, and you could like hang things on them, like kind of use them as clothes pegs. And then I was like, would people get that? Like, would people see the funny side of that, or would it just look like I'm hoarding dildos?
No, I think, yeah, I think that's cool, definitely. No, I
Like,
actually,
will people understand it's art, or will they just think I'm like a massive sex fiend?
you should do a shout out until July for what's your favorite vibrator. That's been on my mind lately. Like, what is people's favorite sex toy?
I think what someone else's favorite one is doesn't mean it's going to be good for you.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
true. Because like when you're buying something, you don't want to invest money and then hate it.
And some of them are so expensive.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Even like your cheapest one, you're talking like 40 quid, right?
Yeah. You see some of them and they're like more than £200.
It's a big investment. It would have to be
Huge.
for 200.
I like the things that I would have to be doing for £200. Like, I'd need to be seeing thousands of 5-star reviews before even considering it.
I'm expecting what do you call it? I can't even think of the words tonight. What is it? Why can't I think of this? Multi orgasms? What are women capable of? Obviously, I've never had one because I don't even know the words of it.
Oh, and it's like back to back.
Yeah. What do you call that?
I don't know, but I feel like that would just take over my life a wee bit.
So that's my aspiration is one day. And also, so when I did a course in sex, death, and wealth in 2019, it was like my advanced yoga teacher training. So it was through the lens of Tantra. And in that, they talked about women experience hour-long orgasms.
Hour long.
Yeah. Have you heard about this?
No, I've not heard about hour long orgasms, no.
Yeah, so I was like, I didn't even know this existed. But so basically, it's in a few books and it's been researched, and like there was like some mad sex organization, like it all, I think it was a cult in a way, and it all came tumbling down. But there was this technique research where if you stroke the left hand side of the clitoris gently, as if you were touching an eyeball for like a prolonged period of time, it triggers this hour long orgasm in a woman. And it's been like performed in front of people and stuff for people watch this. But then this cult hijacked it and were like teaching people it, and it just got really dark. But this is the technique that's in Tantra.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want that for an hour, I'm not gonna lie.
Really? I know, I think I would. Because they say, well, in some faiths or spiritual, they say that a man gives his energy in sex, where a woman gets energy from sex. So it's very much
Yeah.
receiving.
Yeah. It's just like, it just seems like a lot of time. It's like, am I going to block that out in my diary? Like 12 to 1.
Oh my God, you have scarcity mindset and pleasure. I haven't got time to come for an hour, Emma. I got shit to be doing. What more could you be doing than enjoying yourself?
No, I know, I'm joking. I'm just picturing it in the diary.
Oh, well, if it ever happens, I'll keep you posted. It's always good
Cheers.
to have aspirations, or even just I think that was a big takeaway, is obviously goal orientated sex, which I find very difficult, like to not want to climax, right? To let that go.
I know, but I do notice myself, if you focus on it too much, it's like you're just, yeah.
Yeah, because the teaching in Tantra too is to experience a different type of orgasm, because most of us just chase the one type, right? Where you play with the clitoris and it's like fast and quick, right? And then there's obviously different types of orgasm. I think there was like 10 different types. And it is when you get the wave that you're gonna come, that you don't ride that wave. You stop and you go back to the start. Do you know what I mean? Like you stop yourself from, I don't know. I have yet to do that. I like the waves came in, I'm just gonna enjoy it. I'm not gonna.
I feel like as a woman, like, not that it doesn't happen frequently, but like you can't guarantee it's gonna happen frequently. So when it does happen, I'm not gonna be like, no.
Yeah. So yes, I wanted to talk about love, your heartbreaks, your thoughts on love, marriage,
Mhm.
relationships, all that stuff. So I asked on Instagram stories, so I have some shares from that, and I have some notes. But my first question for you is, how many great loves have you had? Oh, sorry. We'll start with, what's your definition of a great love?
Oh God, I don't know. Hit me with the hard question.
Well, the way I would define it is, like, there's loads of definitions, right? But I think a great love is like a catalyst, like you're changed forever, like you're not the same on the other end.
Yeah. Okay.
Which bad relationships can do that to you too, though.
Yeah, I'm thinking. But then, so we're talking great love specifically in a romantic sense.
Yeah, well, that, because I think that I have great loves and friendships, which I'm very blessed with.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just in the romantic sense of intimate partners.
I don't know if everyone can relate to this or not, but I do think there's an element when a relationship ends and you are in a new one. There's like this element of looking back on the relationship and thinking, did I even ever love them? And I know a lot of people will be like, I don't even think that was true love. And I actually don't think that's the case. I think, if in that moment you were in love and you did think you loved them, that probably was love, but now you're experiencing a completely different type of love that's making you look back on that love and think that wasn't love, even though it was just a different type. Do you know what I mean? And like, for example, now it's like I've never been in a relationship that's like this healthy and this openly loving. And so it can sometimes make me look back at previous relationships and make me think, God, I didn't even know what love was. But that's like such a disservice to that love at the time. It was just a different kind of love with those people.
Yeah, because I think I've had, and I always debate, is have I had two or three great loves? But I suppose really I have had three, and the reason why I debate one is because I was never happy in the relationship. I could never get what I wanted in the relationship. However, there was definitely a deep connection between us two.
Yeah. I would say it was probably still a great love for you. It's just unfortunately you weren't maybe met with the same kind of love and respect that you deserved.
Yeah. How many have you had?
4?
Oh yeah, so you'd say everyone was a great love.
Yeah, all of my relationships have been like long enough term, like minimum a year. So yeah, and I think I am a lover girl. Like I think I love people quite fast, and not in like a love bombing, like toxic kind of love people fast. Like I'm not like all over them and telling them I love them within a month or anything like that, but I do think I'm very, once I'm in it, and I'm like all for you type of thing.
Yeah, see, I think I am like that, but it takes a lot for me to get to that place. And I think because once I'm in, I'm in. And some people can be slower on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a bit like, because I'm so sure of myself when I know. And some people, it takes them a while or something. I definitely had the experience of that once.
Yeah. I know, but then I also think sometimes people that are like extremely slow burners, it's like, but is that just mean that that's just not their person? Because
Yeah.
if they were sure about the person, then they wouldn't be so burning about it.
Yeah, well, the person I'm thinking of, what happened was like we were seeing each other for like 4 months, and like we still weren't girlfriend and boyfriend. But then again, he definitely loved me when we went out then. But then we did break up because I think that was the problem in the relationship. And I should have seen that from the start, that he was just so unsure of himself about him, and it projected onto the relationship, if you know what I mean. And I think
Mhm.
I was at a different stage in my life where I knew myself and I knew what I wanted.
Yeah, definitely. I think you can end up projecting a lot onto a relationship that's like depending on what you're going through in your life at the time. I think that's happened so much with me in previous relationships where they've not meant to, but like as a result of who they were and what they felt in themselves as a person, just like massively, and the same with me as well. It massively had an impact on how we treated each other, and like I guess going forward, they might not necessarily do the same thing with other people because they'll be at completely different stages in their lives.
Yeah. I have a story to tell you that happened recently. I met this guy, right, and I kept on like bumping into him organically. Do you know when you keep on bumping into someone, you're sort of like, oh, it's fate or it's serendipity, or
Yeah.
this wee narrative's going in my head. Anyway, we start messaging and stuff, and we start voice noting, and like we're voice noting every day, like morning to night for like 2 weeks because we live in different cities. Meet up, and then he just went cold.
What?
So asking me like deep stuff about my dad, like really diving into this like deepness, he'd said he'd done therapy, he knew about compassion inquiry, the Gabor-Mate technique. So I'm like ding 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 ding, in my
Yeah.
head. And obviously getting on great. And I suppose I had a buzz, I hadn't felt that excitement in ages of like, when you get a text or something.
Yeah.
And then for that to happen, I was just like, what the fuck?
What? So you did meet up, and then after the meet, nothing.
Yeah. Well, like a few replies to stories, but no text. Like we text the next day and stuff, and I seen him the next day. So we met up like twice, and then he had texted me that night. I fell asleep. I texted him the next morning, just nothing.
Oh my god, that's
And
crazy.
still like my stories, and maybe wrote something to my stories. And I'm like, this is so fucking weird. And then I was like, I know he's gonna message me, right? And it's like 2 weeks later,
Uh
he
huh.
messaged me, and I was just like, what is your crack? Like you blew so hot to go so cold. And
Uh
he's like, just a bit of fun for me, and I didn't want to hurt you.
huh. Oh my god.
I know. And then you feel like I felt like the fool. I was like, what the fuck?
But you know what? I think those things are genuinely harder to get over than like long term relationships. I'm not even joking. Because at least with long term relationships, it's like dead in the water. Like, everything, it's played out. That they weren't the person for you. Whereas something like that, it's like you're so attached to this idea of like that really fun time that you had and all that energy and the excitement you were talking about of getting a text, and you have this like picture and this ideal of what you're going to be like together, and that never happens. So it's like you always have this like picture perfect idea of them in your head, and you never have that like negative side. Like, I can look back on relationships and be like, I'm happy that's over, that they were never the person for me, and I can see that now. Whereas you can't see that with someone like that, so you'll always like hang on to this idea. I think it's so hard to get over.
I think, well, for me, I was like, oh, this is terrible. But like, you do have that, oh, I'm ugly. I'm like, just like met me and didn't want me. All these things like get
Mm,
triggered in you. And then I was actually speaking to my best friend about it because obviously I'm reading too deep into it, because I'm like, oh, my daddy didn't want me. It's probably that wound coming up again, like this fucking story I tell myself. And
yeah.
she's like, no, Carla, this happens because I was giving the relationship a whole personality or making it, and like you play it. But why do girls do that? I don't think boys do that.
But he's probably evil. He'll probably just do it with another person, and literally he just like gets a thrill out of like having these little 2 week like text flings with people and then just pieing them off. It's like way better off for you to not have him in your life.
Yeah, but it swerved. Yeah, he was like, "Oh, let's be friends," and I was like, "Absolutely not."
Yeah, I'm sorry, but block that shit.
So that's the next topic is heartbreak. How many times have you had your heart broken?
I would say twice. I've had my heart broken, although, yeah, twice. So, my first relationship, he actually broke up with me like kind of preemptively before going to uni as like I want to be young, single, and have this like uni experience with the lads. And
That's so tough to take at 18.
I know. And it also just like wasn't what we had discussed as well. I think at this point we were probably been going out for 2 years and like had no intention of going our separate ways when we went to uni. So it kind of like came out of nowhere.
And were you going to Leeds or where were you going? Where was he going?
At this time I was going to Liverpool and he was going to Scotland. And it took me so by surprise. I was a shell of a person the entire summer. He just like cut contact with me completely.
Oh, Emma,
Um,
this is horrific for so young.
yeah, I remember like going on my family holiday and just like seeing he hadn't been online on that kind of time you're in where you're like checking if they're online on WhatsApp and stuff. And I remember seeing that he like hadn't been online on WhatsApp in like a week, like was just like point blank, like, there was nothing there. And I went interrailing with my friends. It was like my big girls' end of school trip. And the whole time I was just like sobbing in bed at night on my own. I remember one morning we were in a dorm with like 8 beds and there was 2 Australian guys along with us, and because there were 6 of us and then 2 Australian guys filling the other bed, and they woke up in the next morning and I'd taken myself off and gone for coffee because this was kind of the routine I was getting into. I was so upset and I was so heartbroken that I was going home on my own early at night, and then I was getting up early in the morning and taking myself off for breakfast and coffee while everyone else was hungover, and then I would meet them at some point in the day in whatever city we were in. And anyway, I'd already got up and gone out for breakfast and just said like, let me know when you're out. And the Australian guys obviously got up and they were like, who was that crying last night? But like every night in the dorms I would just be like sobbing to myself.
I just think at 18, you don't have, I know me at 18, like, you don't have the confidence, the self esteem, like that resilience, or, I think that you're just getting to know yourself, and any knocks feels huge, and that is a huge one.
Yeah. No, it did. It felt massive. I remember actually feeling like physically sick. Like I remember sobbing to my mom. Yeah, it was like I think the first time you experience heartbreak, you're like you don't realize how physical it can be. I honestly didn't even think about like any getting with anyone else or like kissing anyone else or anything for so long. And then I remember this one night I was out in Liverpool. My friend had come to visit me for the weekend. We were out and I just got a call from him. And I looked at my phone and I was
It
like,
always come running back.
I know.
Oh,
And I showed my friend my phone and she was like, are you going to answer it? And I was like, well, we were at like a rave. Like I wouldn't have been able to speak to him at where we were. So I was like, I'll text him and tell him I'll ring him back. I rang him back later on in the night. I ended up going to fucking Scotland that week and getting back with him. How stupid am I?
Emma.
We're talking like 5 months later as well. 5 months of like no contact. Also, sorry, I've actually completely missed out a part of this. I sent him a 2-page love letter pouring my heart out to him from my family holiday, like posted and sealed it from Cyprus, delivered to his house in Belfast, and just didn't even get a response. But that's on me for being a dumb bitch.
I know, but it's just youth, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know. If you were my wee sister, I would have put you in a box and hid you away. I'd be like, no.
Oh God, I know. In fairness, when we got back together and ended up staying together for a good while, like probably a year and a half after that.
Okay. Did you ever
Um,
trust him again?
I felt like he had this idea of how he wanted this uni experience to be with his friends, and then actually tried to live that life and thought, I just miss her, and like I think I can still live this uni life and still have a girlfriend. It's not like this big thing that I thought it was. And so I don't think I ever like lost his trust in that sense. No. I think he just had to like learn that, but then I broke his heart after that.
But see, it always happens, you know. I actually went out with a guy. I asked him, you know, how many times have you had your heart broken? It was some conversation we're having around that, and he's like, "Oh, I haven't." And I, in my head, I was like, "Oh fuck," because I'd already fallen for him, and I was like, "I'm gonna break your heart," because here's me. Everybody has to get their heart broken. Like I
Mm-hmm.
knew this relationship wasn't going to work, or
Mm-hmm.
because everybody has to have their heart broken.
I know. Well, some people haven't gone through
It
like,
will come. It will come.
yeah, but like my brother and his girlfriend, for example, they're each other's first like relationship, and I genuinely think they will get married and be together for the rest of their lives.
But so I have an example of, I'm trying to not give away who it is, but a relative of mine who only has had a girlfriend, similar to that story you're telling. But he was sleeping with a girl before, and she rejected him, and it broke his heart, even though it was never a relationship. So maybe your brother had something like that before.
Okay, I'm sure he's dealt with rejection and like low level stuff, but I don't know that either of them have ever had like that gut wrenching, like takes you like months to get over type of thing, type of heartbreak. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, we were together for a year and a half after that, and we were doing long distance. Well, because I'm dropped out of uni in Liverpool and moved back to Belfast, and then I just got to a point where I was like, I want to go traveling, and that was that. And then apparently he didn't get over it for years after that. But I mean, serves you right for fucking. No, I'm joking. That's horrible.
Did you find it really hard to break up with him? It's the worst trying to break up with someone.
I did, yeah, of course. It's really difficult to try and break up with someone, especially when it's not coming from a place of like rage and anger. Like, I had my second relationship was very toxic and very volatile, and I found that easier to just be like, I don't want to be with you. Like, this is not okay for either of us. Whereas, like, with my first boyfriend, when I was breaking up with him, it was actually just really sad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was really just like, I just feel like we're now at like a fork in the road, and like we're just going different ways. Like, you're in uni for the next 3 years, I want to go traveling. It's just not going to work, and I have so much love for you and will always have so much love for you, but it's just not our path, and that
So
I think that's really sad.
it is so sad.
Yeah.
It's loving each other, but it just not being the right time and all those things.
Yeah, whereas like I've broken up with someone before after that where I've been like, I fucking hate your guts. Like, this is our time to end. So that's like a lot easier.
Yeah, it's definitely easier when you've been cheated on, or you know, like there's like incidents happen, but just like growing apart, not the right time, it's just awful. I had a boyfriend from I was like 18 to 25 on and off.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like my mom, my dad, my best friend, my boyfriend, all rolled into one. Like we grew up together, and so it's so difficult to not have that person in your life anymore.
I know, especially when you do rely on them for like everything, every aspect, every relationship in your life. And that is why it's really important to have other relationships that you can depend on for different things outside of your romantic partner.
Yeah, and I was always like, we never even went on holiday together because we were young, and we always like, I always wanted to go out with my friends, and at that time we didn't have the money to do both. We spent a lot of time together and went away for big weekends and stuff, but we were very like focused on our friends and had that. But I think because I didn't have that family unit, he was definitely that for me, which
Yeah.
is hard.
Yeah, I guess when you don't have that, you're always gonna seek that in your partner as well.
Yeah, like I know, because that's from my ex-boyfriend, I'm still friends with his mummy, and another ex-boyfriend, I'm still friends with his sister, and I'm like, the next one I'm gonna get a daddy. It's gonna
I always think this about like, what are the boundaries when someone breaks up? Because like, for example, my brother and his girlfriend that I was just speaking about, like if they broke up, I'm like, I'm still mates with her. Like, that's not changing.
Yeah, because she's probably like another sister to you.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Or like, what was it? Oh, to be fair, when I broke up with my first boyfriend, it was pretty. I was like, I'm so fine, Dad, if you still want to like, go to the rugby with him or do whatever. So I don't know. There was still an element of that, I guess. And I think anytime he went to Glasgow, he would always give him a message and be like, "Oh, I'm in Glasgow for the rugby. If you want to meet for a pint." So like, there was still a little bit of a relationship there, and I was fine with that.
yeah, that's cute.
He became very much like a part of our family in a way. And I think they would have been quite sad to have like fully just cut that off, you know?
Yeah, because it's so hard, isn't it? Especially when people are together like 10 years, and for some people 20 years when they're getting divorced and different things.
Yeah.
What is your best piece of heartbreak advice?
Oh God. Honestly, it's so cliche, but it is just like time is the best healer and you can't speed that up. Like there's no fast tracking heartbreak, I don't think. You can try as much as you want. You can read as many books on it as you want and watch as many videos. And those things are good to do. I think they're really good to do to put things into perspective and help you understand that like, it's just something everyone has to go through and you will see the other side of it. But ultimately you do just have to ride the wave.
Yeah, and I would be my advice for myself and other people is block them on everything because I get triggered if I see a photograph on someone's store. I don't need that. I can feel
Yeah,
myself getting pulled back, and I just think it's self harm. To I know the temptation is to look at their instas and all that, but it just I think that really slows down the process.
definitely. And also because what you're probably seeing of them is like them out enjoying themselves, and what you're not seeing is like what the shit that they're going through and how the mornings they're waking up also feeling the same like you as you. You're just seeing this kind of like picture of them holding a pint and thinking, oh my God, they're so fine. How have they moved on so quick? And it doesn't mean that. And like back in the day when social media wasn't a thing, that wasn't a worry. You didn't have to think about, okay, you might have had to thought about bumping into them in the pub or something, but like you didn't have to think about seeing them on this person's story or off on this holiday.
What a blissful existence.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not checking people's last online on WhatsApp. Just can't imagine it.
I don't have that on mine's. I don't think I can see that.
So if you turn off the ability for other people to see yours, you can't see other people's.
Yeah, I have mine's turned off.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do. I should do that. I should have done that when I was going through my last breakup.
And I don't see if people have read my messages or not because I don't want them to know if I've read theirs.
That's actually another good one to do.
I like a peaceful life, as peaceful as possible.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that after this recording.
Dude, it's a much better existence,
But
I
I
think.
feel I'm already bad at replying to people, so that would make me even worse. Because they'd be like, "Oh, they can't see that I've read it."
Oh, sure. That's better than the other way. Do you know what I mean? My favorite lyric for getting over someone is the song, Call the Shots by Girls Aloud. I think when I was going through there's a line in the song, it's like it really doesn't faze me how you spend your time. And I think that is the aspiration of when you're getting over someone, when you finally do not care where they are, who they're with, and it's just I can breathe again.
Yeah, that's so funny that that's your.
That's my song. Wait, what's yours? Do you have a breakup song?
Oh my God! Wait, what was it? So when I was going through my last breakup,
Hmm.
and I felt like I was kind of getting to that point where I was like, it's like an upwards hill, and I felt like I was getting to the top, and then it was going to be fine. And I, at that point, was able to properly talk about it. Like I talked about it a little bit, but I hadn't got over it, so I wasn't at the stage where I could be like, okay, girls, this is what you need to do. This is how I've got to where I am, because I needed to do that myself to be able to give the advice. And anyway, I did this podcast on getting over heartbreak, and I was like, one of the things you need to picture, because you're always thinking, oh my God, I miss them, or you're thinking that they're like living their best life without you and they're not thinking about you. And then I was like, no, you need to switch it completely, and you need to think of them driving along the motorway singing along to The One That Got Away by Katy Perry, thinking what you hear streaming down their face.
That is a good song.
But
Okay.
not you singing it about them. Don't put it. Also, you know what is so pivotal? Do you ever, I don't know if you do this, but do you like when you're going through a breakup, would you make a breakup playlist?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do that too, and it's like kind of self-sabotagey because it just like makes you cry to all these like emotional songs, but also at the same time it's good because it's very pivotal when you listen to that playlist and you don't cry and you're like, wow.
Yeah, and it just transports you to that time.
Yeah.
Another question that I asked, which got a lot of responses, was, do you think romance is lost in today's world?
I don't think romance is lost. I think it's harder to build desire when everything is like at your fingertips. Everything we want is just like a fucking TikTok search away. And or even just like, I don't know, things like porn and everything being so easily accessible. I guess with our phones and like dating and being able to like swipe through so many people on the likes of Tinder and Hinge, or book so many restaurants and have like so much back and forth in deciding what to do for a date. And it's like all this, it's not the kind of stereotypical traditional date of back in the day, like I'll pick you up at this time, be ready for this time, I'll be at your door type of thing. It's like there's too much at our fingertips. And so it's like this excess kind of creates this lack of desire because there's no, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, because sometimes I feel like that in today's dating compared to when I started dating at 18. And I think, I don't know if it's more so in the younger, like Gen Z, your generation, or like the younger ones. Like when I was young, when I was younger, sorry. And because I have dated guys younger than me as well, but when I was younger, it was you dated, got into a relationship fairly fast, which doesn't happen now. People date for quite a while before they get in a relationship, which is fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
But years ago, you went on like 1 or 3 dates and you'd be in a relationship with them and then you'd have sex. Where now it's sex, date, and relationship for
Mm-hmm.
most people. Because I think there's like this real, people are just dying to see what someone's like. They just want it to be instant, yeah.
Yeah. There's
Like
too many options to the point that it's like, what's that story of like how they did like an experiment of when there's too many options, and it was like they took someone that like went to the supermarket and there was like 100 different jams, and the person ended up being too overwhelmed by the choice of jams and not picking anything. But when they went to a little market where someone was selling 4 different jams and they were happy with their decision in the one that they purchased, whereas when
yeah.
they were overwhelmed, they were like, I'm going to make the wrong decision. What if I want this one? What if I don't like that one in the end? And it's like, no, it's like there's so many options that people can never be satisfied in their decisions. And I find the same with like romance in a way as well, I guess, because people, I don't know, it's like there's all these options of things you can do and ways you can be romantic, but then it's like, but should we just sit on the sofa again?
Do you know, I'm in America, that turns me off. That's a big turn off for me. It's too much choice. Like, see, when I'm going in to buy oat milk, say,
Oh, I hate it.
500 different types of oat milk, I'm just like, no, walk out.
I can only do my food shop in a specific size of supermarket. If it's bigger than that, like I'm not going to the big massive Tesco to do my food shop. I'm sorry, but I'll be coming there 2 hours later with not half the things I want. I need to go to like not a corner shop, but like, something in between.
Yeah. And do you think that's the problem with dating apps? It's like,
100%, yeah. And not only that, I think choice is a huge thing, and like in dating apps, but it's also just the fact that you're like putting someone down to photos as well, which is like, you're probably sitting there rejecting people that you'd be like delighted with speaking to in the pub.
yeah, I remember thinking that if like one of my boyfriends was on an app, I would have swiped past him.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I'd say a lot of people that people end up like in relationships with, if they had seen them on an app, they wouldn't have spoke to them, or yeah, you're not getting that like in-person chemistry, and that's why you have to just go on the in-person dates. But like, what happens if you just swipe past them?
Would you go on a dating app if you were single?
I have been on apps before, but I've never been on a date from an app. I think I've just kind of used them flippantly as like a fun game. I think they're really good, and I think they are like the way to meet people these days, and it like makes a lot of sense with how much time we spend on our phones and everything, that dating has gone that way. But I think I find it hard to not get the ick from someone on a dating app.
Yeah, and I think it's important just to see it for what it is. Like if you meet someone, happy days, but the odds are probably against you, and be putting most of your energy into meeting people in real life, and that's like a side
Yeah.
on. And I think people are doing the reverse, which makes it problematic because
Yeah.
I think it was, Slumflower, if you didn't
Yeah.
listen to her. She was like, I think the research shows that it's 20% success rate with apps. And she said, would you buy detergent if it only worked 20% of the time? So take it for what it is. And I thought that was a really good point to make.
Like a 20% success rate is actually kind of good in terms of dating, as long as you're using it in the right way. You know, making sure you're not leaving it over a week to like try and make plans with someone, or like maximum 2 weeks, and like actually making sure you're going on a date a week and like making the odds work in your favor 100%. But I know I wouldn't be using them like that.
What way would you use?
I'd be like just waiting for people to tell me I'm hot, or like my photos, and then be like, can't be asked speaking to you. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I feel like I'm the type of person, I just need to meet someone in real life, because if I see you on a dating profile, I'll just be like, you're turning me right now.
Yeah, I have been on not very successful dates on apps, and I actually went off them at the start of the year. Because, like, I was like, this is a waste of time. Like, I've been on this for a year and, like, nothing's came of it. Joanne McNally was harping on about it. And then a friend messaged me. She'd read my mailer that went out. And she was like, Carla, get back on Hinge now. You need to be dating. And because I'm not dating. Last date I had was that guy there. And then last summer, like, that is not, not quite high for a single person to be in a year. And so I went back on. And this guy had liked my profile, and I actually have a date on Valentine's Day.
Oh my god, how romantic.
I know, but his profile picture's with so he has one photo where he has his nails painted, so that's a tick.
I love that.
Yeah, and that's a bit of me and you. And then he has another photo where he must be going to, like, I don't know, a rave or something, but he has a kilt on past his knees and like a netted top, so that was another tick. But there's a scary photo, like, I don't know what to do. That he's like tied up with clothes on and bondage.
Right.
And I haven't asked him about that yet. Because he's like my vulnerable side. It says my vulnerable side, and it's him tied up in bondage, but he has his clothes on, so I don't know what that is about. I'll soon find out.
That sounds like a joke if it's my vulnerable side.
Yeah, and he was very little conversation. He's like, "Do you want to go for a drink?" And
No,
I said,
this is what I mean. This is how you need to use dating apps. Like, just be attracted to someone, tiny bit of conversation, go for the drink. Like, use it as a initiator, not a let's chat for a month for it to go nowhere. Like, you're just wasting each other's time.
"Yeah, I don't want to chat for a month, but how do I know you're not a melter?" And this is what I wrote to the guy.
I know.
And he's like, "You have to take these risks, Carla." And I was like, "That's fair enough point."
You do. You just have to take this risk, especially in places like London, and you just need to be like, I'm just gonna go for one drink, and if they are weirdo, I'm leaving after the one drink.
And I have to say, I'm very good at that. I have been on 2 dates off Hinge, and I had one drink and left.
Yeah.
I was like, that's me done.
You don't, if someone's not worth spending a night with and you know it's not going anywhere, like, you don't need to be a people pleaser and be like, oh, this is really fun, let's spend the whole night together. Like, just cut your losses and say goodbye. It's not that say you've got plans.
Yeah, because I remember a guy organised a date with me, and he's like, oh, we can meet for one, and then I have to go to a birthday. I think he said something around that. And I was like, oh my God, you are so clever. This is what I'm going to start doing in future.
This is what you do.
Yeah.
Or say, but I've got something after, and then when it comes to it, if you're having a good time, you can be like, oh sure, I can go later. Or if it is actually something legit, you can tell them to come with, but like at least there is then the option, like you've got that to fall back on.
Yeah, and it puts the brakes on it a bit, not to move too fast as well, because I definitely do that where I give someone a whole personality. I don't even know them, and I've created a whole personality for them that doesn't even
yeah, I do that too. And I also just like give people way too much of my time, I think, when I like them. But I don't know. That's what I meant by me just being like very like fully in it, like all or nothing kind of thing. But I don't know if I would change. Would I change that? I don't know. Like with my boyfriend now, for example, like when it was so fast with us.
I can't get over how fast. Although I love this story, but I just don't know if it'd be possible for me.
I think, to be honest, if it wasn't him, it probably would have freaked me out. If it was but then because it was him and I liked him so much, and I was I was on the same boat, then it was like it just worked.
Yeah, and I think that's the case where you two were very ready for it. I think that's the case, isn't it? The
I
right
don't think
feeling.
I was ready for it.
Oh,
I think
really?
I was like,
Trailed by the ankles.
no, no, not like that. I mean, I don't. I think I was ready to be single for a good,
Oh, that's right.
like, minimum year. Yeah, I wasn't like expecting me to be so on board. And to be honest, I did have to like not work through a lot, but like I had to unpack a lot to be able to like be in a healthy relationship after coming out of a very toxic breakup.
But that's the thing, isn't it? You hate in relationship. Like I think that's what scares me too. Is
Yeah.
I have done healing, and I've been single for 3 years, and I'm like, oh god, it wouldn't it be great to fall in love again? But I just know it's going to bring up these all the all the shit that
Yeah.
you
And
do.
that's I think what it brought up, I was like, but can I heal from this in a relationship or do I need to do this outside of a relationship? And that really freaked me out. And then I was like, no, 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 this is all stuff that is actually like, even if I was to get in a relationship in a year's time, this would all come up again. Like this is the type of stuff that you heal within a relationship.
Yeah, and a lot of therapists and healers would talk about that. You say that you're healed, but it's just that you're living alone. You
Yeah.
only healed until you.
Yeah. It's just that you don't have someone to like call you up on loads of things.
Yeah, because Sabermate says, the love of your life will be the best thing and your worst nightmare wrapped in one.
Yeah.
And obviously, he's married to his partner. He's 80 odds, and I think they've been together since their 20s. So he's really been through the roller coaster of life with her, and he's madly in love with her still.
I know it is crazy, like to I don't know, when you see like grandparents and everything that have been together for, 60 odd plus years, and you're like, whoa, that's just like that's my life doubled, and you've been together that whole time.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was what I wanted to say about romance as well. So when I put that question up, do you think romance is lost on stories? A girl replied saying, what is romance? And for me, romance is action,
Hmm.
thoughtfulness, and it touches you in a way that makes you go like, do you know that
Yeah.
feeling? And it's vulnerable, and I think that's why it has such a reaction in you, because someone's being so exposed in their action that it really touches you. And
Yeah.
I think perhaps that's why romance is very difficult these days, because of the social media world and the vulnerability of calling to people's doors and ringing someone on the phone and asking if they're in. All those things are lost.
There's a lot less on the line now because people just like a wee story, and it's like there's no vulnerability in that. There's no thoughtfulness going into it. It's like I don't know, it's less, well, less what? Less action, and then therefore less reward. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And that's what I love, what like Brene Brown talks about, is people don't want to be vulnerable. And we see that so much, right? Don't want to be vulnerable, don't want to know that they're vulnerable. But that is the birthplace of innovation and creation. And falling in love is so vulnerable, like the most vulnerable you can be.
Just knowing that you're like giving yourself up or your heart up on a platter,
Yeah.
ready to be like, they could just chew you up and spit you out, but are they going to?
Life on the edge, eh? When my granny died 3 years ago, I think that's when my heart closed. Like that absolutely broke me, and then I was like, I'm never giving this out again.
Yeah.
Blah, blah. So I think maybe I will be ready. Maybe this year we'll see what happens. But I have noticed that in myself. When you just have a really bad heartbreak, sometimes it just takes you a long time to recover.
Yeah, definitely. And once you close that side of yourself off, it's kind of like did we talk about this before where we were talking about, I think we did on your podcast before, and we were talking about sexuality and how you can like switch that side of yourself off sometimes, and then it's like harder to get back into it. And I feel like it's the same with like being vulnerable and romantic. It's like once you switch that side off, it's like very easy to just live in the state that you're in and not even think about that.
Yeah, and I think that there's people who are definitely doing that. Did we talk about this before? I see this trend. I don't know if it just applies to Belfast boys, but the listeners can let us know. Is there's this trend of boys that I see is that they have a long term relationship, they get their heart broke, and then they just become fuckboys and just never open their heart again.
I don't think it's a Belfast specific boy thing. Yeah, I don't know. I think it is a case of men then getting used to living in that way and they just think, well, why would I open myself up again?
And there's definitely an element to that to me. Like, I'm a very expressive person. Like, I definitely think I'm a heart on my sleeve type of girl. But it takes a lot to give my heart, and then when I get hurt, it takes me a few years to recover.
Yeah.
Not like where I just sleep around and don't connect with people again.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably also to do with like men not speaking about, I guess as women, we probably talk to each other more when it comes to dating, and if you've got friends that are in relationships and they'll talk about like the different sides of it, and then I don't know if men talk to each other the same in that way, and therefore they're probably just like, I'm living my life and this is great and I'm just going to carry on like this because I'm not hearing otherwise.
Yeah, they really don't. And that's always been a problem for me in my relationships where we will be going through something or like having a fight or whatever. And I'm telling like my girlfriends and, getting a different opinion because obviously I'm just thinking that I'm right and he's a bastard and this is
Yeah.
it. They will give me his perspective and they're not talking to anybody. And I'm like, this isn't fair. You're trying to work everything out in your head and
Yeah.
you are doing well mentally. And then I have to deal with it all. No, you need to go and talk to people.
Yeah. No, 100%. And even just to have that space as well when like say you have a fallout or an argument with your boyfriend, to have that perspective to gain from other people and to go to people and be like, am I being crazy, and just have people be honest with you. Like for example, something happened a good while ago now with my boyfriend, and I spoke to a few people about it, and they were all able to they all gave me like completely different answers, and it was really good to kind of get all those different answers from the different kind of lived experiences of those people and what how they think their boyfriend sort of reacted to the same thing. And it was like very validating but also eye-opening for me to get different perspectives. And I just feel like men don't go and do that. They just get so in their own heads about everything.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem is when you're in conflict with another, you become very attached to you being right and then being wrong or whatever that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So say I'm in conflict with a boyfriend, he's not hearing me. That's the problem. When
Yeah.
you're in conflict, you cannot hear what they're saying. But if you get someone neutral, you can hear what they're saying. Like you could hear all those voices.
Yeah.
You're so connected with your boyfriend, then it's difficult to hear them. And Gabor Mate always talks about when you're in conflict with your partner and it's a trigger, it brings up a lot. It's usually your inner child arguing with their inner child. So you're fucked. You need
Yeah.
the voices coming in.
I know. It was actually, it was like a first experience of, how do I describe this? I feel with all previous relationships, anytime I got in fights or in arguments with them, I was just like throwing the toys out of the buggy kind of vibe. Like, I don't care. I will fight my point. I don't care to like, try and see it from your side. Like, I'm right. And it just, everything felt so, this is the end all the time.
I
You
was
know
going
what
to
I mean?
ask you, one of those people who's like, that's it. Let's just break up. This is done. Let's burn this shit to the ground.
Yeah, like there was no, I was like, you either work on this or I'm done because this isn't anything to do with me type of thing.
You
Whereas
are the problem.
now in this relationship, it's like nothing feels like this could be it ever. It just feels like this is a hurdle we have to work through because we want to be together. And
Yeah.
so there's a lot more intention to be a lot more calm about it and to go away and think about the other person's perspective and have more like adult conversations about things and not be so like screamy and shouty and I'm right and you're wrong. And this relationship is the first time I've ever experienced that.
Yeah, and I think that's maturity too, and the right person. You know what I've noticed about myself, and I don't know if I'd be different now because I'm older, but definitely when I was in up to this date, I'm so hard on my boyfriend and not on my friends, because like my best friends, I know that they love me, and there's always maybe this thing because there's more vulnerability in an intimate relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my best friend, if we have a fight or a disagreement, we can work through it. Whereas my boyfriend, I'm like, how dare you cross me once, you know? Like, and I'm like, I have the same capacity
Yeah.
that my best friends for my boyfriend. I
Yeah.
don't. I remember traveling with my best friend around South America, and we did that for 4 months, me and my best friend Holly.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we talked about. So there'd be times where she'd go, oh, I'm going to stay in a different room, or I'm going to do my own thing tonight. Then, I need my space.
Mm-hmm.
And we both said, isn't that great how we can do that? But if you were my boyfriend, I'd be like, excuse you, you want to stay here? How do you like this? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. But then I don't know. Sometimes I think I hold my friends to lower standards than I do my partner because I don't expect as much of them because they're not my sole romantic partner, you know?
Oh, I think I expect the same of both. I just have more capacity and compassion for my friend. For example, years
Yeah.
ago, I was living in London, right? And I was really depressed, crying every day. And my best friend came over and seen me.
Uh-huh.
She was mad at the time, completely mad. And she went out partying all weekend, and I never saw her once, right? Uh, and then she came back and she's like, oh, she's raging at me. She was completely down. I was like, don't even look at me, right? But I would get over that quick, where my boyfriend at the time was like, I'd be dropped. If I did that, I'd be dropped. And I was like, absolutely, you would.
Yeah. But that's what I mean by like holding your friends to a lower standard, I
Mhm.
think, than your partner. It takes a lot for me to actually want to end a friendship. Like, do you know the way there was this whole thing on the internet for a while, and it was like, cut anyone out of your life that is like that doesn't benefit you massively, or cut anyone that's like weighing on you, which is, I just think it's a really bad way to think, because like friendships do go through kind of like highs and lulls because you're always at different stages in your life, whereas I think in a relationship, you're kind of going through things together. So it's easier to be there for each other. Whereas like with friendships, sometimes someone's here, sometimes someone's there, sometimes like it's just like a weird kind of wave of going in and out of this friendship. Like, do you know what I mean? You're not always as close as you are with every friend right now.
Yeah, and I think because if you think about in your 20s, you're friends with your life and you spent every day together. And when you get through your 20s and older, people are ready to get married, others aren't, people travel, and like you are at all these different stages. But what you said is actually one of my favorite quotes about love. It's from a French poet, and it says, love is not looking in each other's eyes but looking in the same direction. And that is what makes a love work, because you can
Yeah.
be madly in love with each other, but you ain't looking in the same direction, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is completely right. That's why you're with this one person, and you want the same things at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
whereas your friends are in all these scattered places.
Yeah. No, definitely. And that's why I have more compassion for friends, because I know that we're always gonna be
Yeah.
on different wavelengths, and we're not always going to be like the exact same as where we were when we were spending every day together in school, for example, or when we had more time to dedicate to each other. And yeah, I think it takes a lot for me to be like, oh, I actually don't want to be friends with this person anymore. Like, you have to really cross me.
Yeah, same here. I've had a friend where we grew apart, but we still talk. If we've seen each other, there'll still be a lot of love there. I only have one friend that I properly fell out with.
Yeah, it's really sad when someone at this age like really crosses you or really fucks you over. You're like, whoa, I didn't know someone was gonna do that.
Yeah, it is a different kind of heartbreak, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's your best relationship advice? What you've been given, or you would give?
My best relations, God.
I'll share mine's.
Yeah, please do.
Well, there's two pieces. So one, love is a verb. I read this book.
I love this.
Yeah, because in the book, it was actually written by a male. Now it's been written in a lot of books I've read, but I think I can't remember book was like maybe Atomic Habits or something. I can't remember now. But basically in the book, this guy is complaining or, sharing that his marriage isn't working. And I think the author was a guy called Stevens. I'd have to look it up. But anyway, his advice was, all you've done is told me like how your marriage isn't working. You haven't told me like how do you love her? Love is a verb. Take action. And it really, really stuck with me because you can't just say you love someone and not do anything.
Yeah. Love isn't just like a feeling. Like you can have love for someone, you can feel love for someone, but in order to make a lasting love, like it is about what you do. And I think that's a really good piece of advice actually, because so many people just expect to just like once they're in love and just stay in love, and like that realistically that's not what happens, especially if you want something to last long term. Like you can't just have the fun honeymoon stage of a relationship and then be like, actually this doesn't work for me anymore, it's got boring and I can't be bothered putting in any more effort. Like it's all about constantly the act of loving someone and how you're treating them day in day out, just the little things.
Do you listen to Esther Perel?
I listen to her podcast the odd time, and I really want to read Mating in Captivity.
She's amazing, but she talks about I have a really good interview with Lewis Housel. I don't really like him as an interviewer, but this interview is really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I'll link it below in the description. She talks about how much effort people put into their jobs and then give the crumbs to the relationship. And it's like, why are we like this?
Yeah. We think about putting effort into everything else in our lives, like, into the food that we eat, into the hobbies that we do, and the exercise that we do, and everything. And then it's kind of this, especially if you live with a partner, it's kind of just seen as this thing that you're just meant to like have on the side. You're just meant to love them and they're just meant to love you. And like, that's just supposed to work, and you're supposed to be able to live your life and put all this energy and effort into everything that you want to do, and them just always be there by your side. And I think with time and getting more comfortable with each other and like that desirability fading, that initial kind of like, excitement and desire does fade over time, and that is when like effort and intention comes into it so much.
Yeah, she talks about for desire, it has to be absence and longing.
Mm-hmm.
So to have that time apart and to really put the effort in. She says, we're all so concerned about being late for work. Like, just be late for work and have a lie-in with your partner. It'll probably do wonders for your relationship.
Yeah, it's the same with, I think like working from home has affected so many relationships because you're not having that like absence and buildup of desire.
I had a boyfriend and it was through lockdown and he was living with me at the time.
I go insane.
Yeah, so it was through lockdown. I work from home. At this time, I was still teaching yoga in studio, so I was out of the house a bit. He was writing his master's full time. And I was sitting at the same desk in the kitchen, like, so I had like an open plan, like living room with the dining room all in one. And he was sitting in the same spot for a month. And every day I came in, he was in that spot. And for 12 hours a day, I was sitting there. And he goes, I might ask for an extension on this. And he's like, you better not, because you're dropped. I cannot put you in that spot for one day longer. Absolutely not.
I know. I think I'd go insane. And actually, one of my relationships that was like through COVID, so he wasn't from Belfast, he was from Wales. We were doing long distance, and then they announced lockdown was going to happen, and he quickly got to Belfast, and because we were like, oh god, this could be for ages. And my parents were like, it's okay if he wants to stay here. So anyway, we end up getting this same job together. He obviously doesn't have a car in Belfast or isn't insured to drive on any of the cars. So I have to ask my manager, can any of the shifts like you put me on, can he be on as well? So that
Where were you working at the time?
I was working in hospitals. I was doing mask fitting. It was so rogue. Anything for some money at the time. But yeah, we were living together, we were working together. You obviously had no social life because of lockdown. So it was just like coming home to sleep in the same bed, no space. We even in work, we were in the same little tiny room doing mask fit testing for 12-hour shifts. I hated his guts by the end of it. And
Oh
like he would try and like, if we like didn't have clients or something, he would try and like be like not make a move on me, but like, just like touch my shoulder or something. I'd be like, get off me. Like there was just no desire, nothing. I was like, just seeing you right now is annoying me.
Did he leave then in the summer of 2020 then?
Yeah, I broke up with him.
I'm sure you couldn't wait.
I think my siblings and their partners survived that, which fair play to them.
Oh, your brother and his girlfriend?
No, actually, she wasn't living with us, so I guess that's why they survived that.
Well, my best friend, she was only started going out with her boyfriend. I think that maybe they were going out like maybe 9 months or something around that. And God love him. So it was around 9 months, and he's an Englishman. She brought him home to Belfast, and she was living with her parents because they were both living in London together.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, in London, it was like way stricter and stuff. So they came to Belfast, and now they have a wee baby in a house and stuff.
Oh,
But when their year anniversary fell in the lockdown, she's like, I bet you didn't think you'd be living with my man and dad locked up in Belfast. Yeah, they survived that, which must have been hard.
I know. Like, don't get me wrong, it probably did work in some people's favor. Not in their favor, but like it obviously sped things up for a lot of people and made them see quicker that it was the person for them. But I think it did a lot of the reverse as well.
Made you see quicker that this isn't the one.
Yeah. Blessing in disguise, maybe.
Yeah. Quick, jump into the deep end, just find out the truth. I asked, would you get married on Instagram stories? And it was 69% yes,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was high. Or did you think it would be about right? And 31%
No,
no.
I would expect that. I feel like people are still quite more traditional than you would think.
I have a group of friends who are only starting to get married now that they're turning 40. It took them a few years, and then another half. So I have 50-50 of like friends who are no babies, no marriage,
Mm-hmm.
and then 50% they all got married and had kids around 30, which you must be going through. Will you be coming up to that? Like people starting to get engaged and
Yeah, so weirdly that hasn't started at all yet for my friend group. And I feel like once it does start, it'll just be like a domino effect. Like people
yeah.
say that it's like it puts it in everyone's minds once the first person it happens to the first two people.
I think I was 28 or 29 and six of my friends got married in 1 year.
Yeah, I think my boyfriend had like 7 weddings the year before, or the year he met me, or the year before, or something. 7
Yes,
weddings and 7 stags in 1 year. Like, I'm sorry, but how much money would that put you back for the year?
I know I have 3 weddings and 2 40s this year, and I'm already stressed about that.
It's a lot to ask of people, like not only to take the time off, but also like to fly to wherever it is if they don't live at the place, to book the accommodation, to have something to wear. Like it's a lot. I find weddings a bit mortifying. I really do. Something about it, asking everyone to do that for you and expecting them to just like do all that at a drop of a hat and come to your hand. Like something is so embarrassing about it.
But you do want to get married.
I want to get married, but it's not like I have to get married, like I have to have a big white wedding. It's not really like that. I think I could just be engaged for the rest of my life. I don't care to have a wedding.
Oh, you just want a ring?
Yeah. I don't care to have a big white wedding and the politics and the drama of it all. Like, I'd rather take that money and go on a safari.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely could see you. I think there is something. I'm a person who wouldn't get married. I
Uh-huh.
think if someone really wanted to get married, I would. I would never change my name.
I wouldn't change my name.
And at the same time, when I go to a wedding, I bawl. People declaring their love for each other in front of the room of everybody they love. There is just something really powerful about that. And I could definitely see that for you and you loving that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I do love that. And I think we don't do that enough. And because we don't talk like that enough, then when we do, and it's like in a room full of people that you love, there is something so emotional about it. Like I've been to people's weddings that I literally don't know, have never met. Like I've been someone's +1 and I've been bawling at the speeches and I don't even know them. It's just that, like, I don't know, just seeing them so happy and so emotional and talk about this person in front of all their family, like there's something so wholesome about it. But I wish we did that more and it wasn't this like big thing then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and the girl I live with, Katrina, her friends are really good at that, at doing it. They've all been doing it for each other for their 30th, doing speeches of
Oh,
like
that's
declare.
so nice.
Yeah, and I thought that's so beautiful. Like, why do you have to wait until someone's dying or your wedding day to be told her class shower?
Yeah, I know. We need to normalize that for people's birthdays and shit. That's so nice.
So nice. Yeah, they all do that. And even I think they've all turned 31. They've still kept up that tradition of really celebrating each other, which I think is so lovely.
Yeah, I mean, some people are good at like writing longer cards and nice like heartfelt messages, but it's definitely not like spoken out loud.
Yeah, I would write it in cards, and I love a love letter.
I love a love letter. Whereas some people be like, I feel sick at a love letter. That's what me and Livia were talking about on my podcast because we are so different. And she'd be like so turned off by someone like sending her a love letter, or like we were talking about like making someone a playlist, and she was like, I'd be like, what do you want me to do with that? And I was like, no, that's so cute. We're like so opposite in that way.
No, I love a playlist. I had a boyfriend who put in a frame. He wrote me a poem and put in a picture of us and a
Uh-huh.
poem
That's
for
really
our.
cute.
But I was so scundered because I have 3 brothers that I wouldn't hang it up. And then he's coming down, he's like, why haven't you got that hung up yet? And I was like, oh, I'll do it today. I'll do it today. Oh, there was another girl who just wrote in saying, well, I think I asked about the greatest love stories, and I have to get up some of these quotes. The best relationship advice, some of them, they shared in, well, one of them was the most important relationship is with yourself. And I think that's definitely true. And I
Mhm.
think if you love yourself more and you're in that good space, that what you want flows to you.
I don't know if I've just like got like this from living on my own, but because I really do value and like prioritize my relationship with myself. Sometimes if I feel that slipping, I know my little routines and like the time I need to take to myself to get that back. And sometimes it like the thought of like living for the rest of my life with a partner, I'm like, how would you have the space to do that?
I've never lived with a boy. I did have a boyfriend live with me for a period of time, but he wasn't moved in. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, we're going to live together now. That
Mhm.
frightens me.
Yeah, because it's just like there's no guarantee of having that space where if you do feel your relationship with yourself going and therefore that having a knock on effect with your relationship with your partner, it's like there's literally no room to, and like you can't always just fuck off to Thailand for a month. Do you know what I mean? Like that's not
Yeah.
always realistic.
Can you ask them to stay in their mummies for a night?
But that sounds so dramatic. Do you know what I mean? Like that sounds like something that would cause a fight then to like ask
Yeah.
them to go stay somewhere else. So I don't know. I think I have really got used to living on my own and being able to have that space and be like, you know what? I feel like for myself, I need a night to myself because that's going to benefit me and therefore the relationship. I just am very aware of that, I guess. And I know when I need that space. And it does freak me out thinking that living with a partner for the rest of your life wouldn't allow you that.
Yeah. And you've only been living on your own not long, so you're probably still in the throes of just loving your own space.
Yeah, but then like the longer you do it for, is it not just even harder to get out of?
Yeah, that's what worries me too, because I'm gonna live alone again, and I'm just gonna become even
More
more
and
stuck.
more self-sufficient.
Yeah. I don't need no man. And then the same girl wrote in saying, just like our thoughts on the bullshit of the fairy tale ending that women have been sold, and how that affects us in dating and love.
Yeah, do you know what? I was listening to Joanne McNally recently. I think it was
I love
on.
her so much. I'm going to see her next weekend
Are
in London.
you?
Yeah,
Oh my god, I'm
she's
real.
she's doing a work in progress. I got the tickets for like £12 or something
Where is it? Oh
in the London Comedy Show.
my god, I'm so jealous.
I know. I'm going to try and sit in her lap, be like front.
Anyway, she was talking recently because obviously she talks quite frequently about dating, and she was
Mhm.
talking recently about how I think when women always talk about dating and always talk about this quest to find a man and everything, it's like it kind of puts this picture in your head that you should always be seeking that out. And recently she spoke and she said something along the lines of, but I don't actually really want a partner and I don't want to get married or anything like that. Like dating's just a bit of fun. And I thought that's actually so nice to think about that way. And I love that she has said that, because in like previously when she's been talking about it, it always kind of sounds like, you know, she's chasing this dream and like wanting this lifelong partner. To hear her just be like, I actually am so happy by myself and I don't really know what I'm doing because I actually love being on my own and I just find dating a bit of crack. And to be honest, if anything, it's just like more content for the comedy and everything. I think there isn't enough talk about just like actually being okay with just being happy on your own and not having to seek out someone else.
So there's this book, Conversations in Love. You've read it, haven't you?
Yeah.
I think I felt the pressure when I was 34. I broke up with somebody and two best friends were pregnant. Everything was changing. I do want kids. And everybody's talking about your clock, and I just felt all this pressure. And then I felt like I had to meet somebody, and that energy. And then everybody died on me, and then I was just like, and it just definitely because I was going through heartbreak. I was like, right, if I get this will make me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
That energy just absolutely ruined me and just brought bad things into my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I read that book, and in that book says exactly what you said. It's just love your life and just don't be looking for anything. You know what
Yeah.
happened. And since I've taken that on board, I feel so much better.
Yeah. I think when you look for it too much and you want it too much, it's like you will actually lower your standards and accept something that's not necessarily adding to your life because you're just focusing too much on like wanting the partner or this idea in your head. Whereas if you focus on like creating a life that you love and you're content in, then if someone comes along and they add to that, well then great, but you'll know then in your heart like if they actually genuinely add to that or if it's just like you're just doing it for the sake of it.
Yeah. But a lot of women too who want kids find it very hard to shake that
Yeah.
feeling. And with being a certain age as well. And there was one girl who wrote into me who is 47, I believe. And she said the best moment was when I realized I'm not going to have kids, and I just felt 100 stone lighter.
Yeah. Like, and there are options now with freezing your eggs and sperm donors and things. Like, it doesn't always have to mean you need to settle for a partner that you're not happy with in order to have kids. I know, obviously, ideal scenario, you'd probably like to think of yourself being in a stable family unit with a partner you can depend on for other things. You don't maybe envision yourself as always being a single mum, but there are other options now as well where you don't have to have a shitty partner.
Yes, but I do think being a single parent is very hard because
Yeah.
my mum is a single parent, and I think I would like my life not to be that hard. But
Yeah.
that's something I'm going to have to sit with. I would be up for a co-parent, so if anybody wants to apply, let me know. um, where it was like a friendship, or because I think that could probably be better for a kid than a romantic love in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
A sperm donor, I think I know what it's like to not know my dad, and I know that the kid's going to want to know their dad, and that's just unpacking that and what that would look like down the line.
Do you think though you're thinking of that from a sense that you did know that your dad was out there, whereas like with a sperm donor, the kid doesn't have a dad essentially,
Yeah, but the kid will want to know where the sperm came from.
but they can't find that out.
I think they can from 18.
I
They
don't
can write
know. I
that.
think the rules with donating sperm is that like your identity is like no kid, no random, because then you could have 100 kids contacting you down the line.
I thought you could write a letter at 18. We'll have to Google this.
I'm pretty sure the whole point of it is that like you're not the person's like parent, you're just a donor of the sperm and the person brings them. You essentially like don't have a dad, you just biologically have that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I think probably I'm projecting myself onto that, definitely, because I'm not, well, we all had bias when it comes to it.
Yeah.
I think someone would always want to know where they came from.
Yeah. I know what you mean. There is like an intrigue there to know biologically, like, yeah, what that, or if you've inherited traits from someone, or if you're talented in this, was it something that your mum or dad had? Like, yeah, I think that will always
Oh,
be
there's
fun.
cancer in the family, heart disease.
Yeah.
What's my other options?
Why don't you have a baby with a gay man?
I know I should.
I feel like that would be such a fun experience.
Yeah, it would be good. Oh, one of my gay friends is too bossy, so I
Right.
couldn't do it with him. He would just boss me a lot about. But yeah, I think that's definitely could. It's probably the best outcome.
Because then you're not worried about him, like, there's no feelings attached. You're not worried about him finding a new partner. In fact, if anything, you'll be happy when he finds a new partner. Same goes for him with you. Like, I don't know. I feel like that could be I don't know why more people aren't doing this.
I know. How well rounded would your kid be?
Yeah, having gay parents and
Yeah,
another set of parents, like, I just think it would be great.
yeah. That would be really handy, wouldn't it? Because you would sort of be you'd have your own time more than if you were with your partner. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Your gay co-parent would take the kid sometimes, and you wouldn't always be with the kid. That's
Yeah.
terrible.
You need to have a good routine, basically. Like, it can't just be like, if what works for you might not necessarily work for them, they might want them more than just the weekend, or I don't know, you need to have like
Maybe we can
everything.
all live in a house together.
Oh, you want to live in the house together?
Yeah, because that's best for the child. So
That'd be nice, actually.
I met a guy in Australia. Now we were just like chatting at the bar, and he broke up with his partner, and I found this really interesting because I'd never met someone who'd done this before. They broke up, but they both lived in the same house. So basically, they would come in and out of the house. So like she would stay there 3 nights. Some nights they both would stay there, have their own bedrooms, and he would stay some nights. So the kids never had to move between each parent's house, which tends
Okay.
to happen in divorce, and that's better for the kids' development.
Yeah, to have this like stable house, that sometimes one just isn't staying in.
Yeah, so that's what I would like. And if you were really rich, then I could just have like an apartment somewhere if I really
Yeah.
needed.
This is a great idea.
I'll start manifesting when we get off. Yeah. What's your Valentine's plans then?
It's actually quite nice because it's a Friday night, obviously. So we are going out for dinner and then a few drinks after. What's your date you've got on Valentine's Day?
I think we're just gonna go for drinks. Just casual, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah. So I'll fill you in on the crack.
Fun. Have you
Yeah.
got a set place, or is that to be
No,
to be
it
seen?
was to be confirmed. Yeah, he
Mhm.
messaged me yesterday. I'll write back today. I
Nice.
don't think he's a big messenger, so it's probably good to like space it out, and I prefer that as well.
Yeah. I hate that when you're like playing games. It's like, I need to wait 20 minutes because they
I noticed that. I noticed that if I'm messaging someone and says it's taking me 8 hours to reply, and then they reply exactly 8 hours later. I'm like,
Yeah.
and I think it's cute when you do take 8 hours to reply, so or whatever time has passed, and then they write back immediately. It shows like a confidence in them that they don't play
Yeah.
those types of games.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that's all my crack, and then that's it really, and then I'll be home at the end of the month. Is your peanut coffee drink? I still need to get that. Is it still going?
It'll still be on, I think, by the end. Will it? I think it's on till the end of February. I'll double check that, but hopefully it is.
And I want to speak to you about your reading group because I want to start because I'm in your broadcast channel,
Uh-huh.
right? But I only read paper. Do you just buy books a lot, or what do you do, or do you have a Kindle?
I have a Kindle, but sometimes if I want the physical version of it, I will buy it. But you can, like, have you ever used World of Books? You can get books secondhand on that for really cheap.
Okay, I must check that out actually.
Yeah. Or also sometimes I listen to them as audiobooks if they're available on Spotify.
Yes. Did you like? So I heard that you read. Who do you call her, Julia?
Julia Fox. I loved it.
Yeah, really. I must give that a go.
I think you'll really like it. It was so good.
Is it her speaking?
Yeah, it's her speaking, and her story is absolutely insane.
Wasn't she a sex worker and stuff?
Yeah, and like, even just from the age of like like, I remember it got to a point where I was like, what age is she at this point? And then she was like, and said something about being 12 years old, and I was like, what? She's at this much up until 12 years old? Like, it's just like jaw dropping, her life, but it's really good. It's an amazing book.
She seems like a powerhouse.
Oh, she really is. She's like such a woman.
Yeah, I'll have to give that a go. What's your plans then for this year?
This year? Oh my god. Um God, I don't know. a lot to think about.
You do more in-person events?
Doing more in-person book club events. See, after last year, I was like, I travelled. Don't get me wrong, I was so lucky to have travelled as much as I did last year, but then I was like, I need just like to stay at home more and have more stability because I just felt a little bit all over the place. But then now that it's got to this year, I'm like, no, I want to travel again.
I know, what holidays? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking Thailand
Oh, Muay
or
Thai?
the Muay Thai. I'm thinking, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe Morocco for a bit.
I really want to go to Morocco. It looks so beautiful.
Yeah, it looks so amazing. And then where else did I want to go? I don't know. TBC. I've got lots of travel plans to make. What about you? What's your intentions for the year?
I don't know if this is financially possible because I do want to buy a house this year
Oh, do
or
you?
something, yeah, in Belfast. And to actually be a grown up for once in my life in the year I turned 38. But I would love to go to Japan. That's like my next big trip that
Yeah.
I'm to do. I would love to go surfing for a week. I just want to spend a week because I'm very beginner. Do you know, like we just have like a surf school set up every day. Like I would just, you just feel class. I think when you just spend time at the waters, no better
Yeah.
medicine.
I would love
Um,
to do that as well.
but thank you so much for coming on again. It's been so gorgeous chatting with you, and I
Thanks
will
for
see you again.
having me.
When are you back in London?
Oh God, I'm so disorganized this year. I need to get on my shit and get everything sorted, but I'm hoping to be back in London. If not this month, then definitely start of March.
Okay, great. Well, should I see you at the end of the month and start of March?
Yeah.
And I think everybody knows your podcast, but for anyone new who's listening, Emma's podcast is Here for the Crack. And it's so, you just give such good advice.
Oh, thank you.
I love your one on the goal setting because I'm shite at goal setting. So that's a really good one if you're wanting to set some goals and intentions.
Yeah, that's a good one for the new year. I need to go back on that actually and reflect a bit because I think it's all gone out the window for me.
I'm still sitting writing mines. I actually decided not to create any content last week because I was like, I'm creating content. I don't have any strategy in my life.
Yeah.
Just take a pause, just take a break.
Yeah, have a bit of direction.
Well, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, please leave a review, share it with a friend, and I hope you tune in next week.
Bye.
Bye.